He's Eli Tomac. Eli, what's up, man? How are you?
Hey guys, thanks for having me on.
No problem, man. Thank you for coming on. Appreciate it. What a ride. So we were discussing this earlier. First half of the race, hanging out, doing all right, everything's okay. Kenny's sprinting, and then you go into beast mode. Do you find some lines? What clicks in your brain to all of a sudden start dropping your lap times like you did?
Well, what was on my mind at that point was like, well, that the first part of the race is always like a hot pace, right?
Right.
So it's it's easy to blow yourself up early if you're going too hard early.
Mm-hmm.
So especially at that track, the way it gets, how bumpy it gets. So really, it was just a patience game for me. And then I'm like, all right, if I need to get going, if I'm going to get anywhere near Ken, because I was eyeballing him,
Yeah.
And he was, sliding away. So, yeah, I mean, it ended up working out that way, right? Like my plan worked out to be patient and then make the attack. A couple of guys made mistakes. I mean, most of my passes actually were on mistakes,
Uh-huh.
The Barsha pass was a tip over. Cooper kind of tucked his front in the sand. So, but that's just the way it went,
Yeah.
It's like the cards just kind of fell the right way for my position,
So when Kenny's out there, right, he gets out to 10 or 12 seconds, whatever it was, are you stressing at that point? Because you still had to deal with Anderson and Webb at that point, but it's – because I was like, okay, at some point Eli's going to drop the hammer. And I don't know if it's going to be enough or not, but I was always curious because you have this ability, like you dropped into the 110s where no one could go, and then you start catching him. And I'm like, okay, is he waiting? Is he stressing? And obviously it sounded like you were being patient. I was just wondering your mindset. Or like, are you nervous about Kenny getting away? But it sounds like you were.
If you would ask me the question, the first half of the race, yes, I was nervous. And then the second half, no. I pulled that one of the two laps there. I pulled big time out. I'm like, all right, I'm back in the thing.
Yeah.
I think I looked up at the timer, and there was like five and a half minutes left. I caught him within those next two laps or something. So, but yeah, I was stressing. I'm like, I'm supposed to win this race, and Kenny's out front again, and I've got to pass, Jason, Cooper, and Barsha, and those guys. I'm just like, this is not good. So, but
yeah, this is not good.
I don't know. It worked out.
But did you find some better lines too? Like, or did you stick to what kind of was working for you? Because I didn't really see any. I wasn't there, so I couldn't really. I just watched TV, and it looked like you stuck to your line. So I don't know if you just was a matter of picking it up or if you found some better ones.
The only time I moved or changed lines was the whoop section.
Mm-hmm.
I started the main, if you're on the track on the right side, and then I moved over to the left side and kind of was riding like the edge.
Yeah.
And that was more consistent for me. And then, gosh, what else was hard? The option line would work on that. If you started on the inside and ended on the outside, if you could get the triple clean out of the turn.
Yeah.
And that's what was really hard about that. And I missed that, oh gosh, 2 or 3 times. And if you missed it though, you'd give up more time.
Yeah, popping up high there kind of sucked. Like, you could just see your frustration when you're like, oh crap, now I got to jump up here and then land.
Yeah, it was something else.
Anyway,
yeah, go ahead.
I got that clean a few times, and then I would start catching those guys, but there wasn't tons of lines out there to make up huge time. I mean, I don't know. I was kind of just riding. It felt like
that inside in the sand. You started going inside in the right hander, and then going all the way down the inside of the sand. That seemed like you were gaining. That's where Webb made a mistake there, and you were making up a lot of time on Kenny. And then I noticed once you started really dropping your lap times, getting into that next right and then the left before the triple, you were crushing those 2 corners. Like, no hesitation. Everyone was kind of like, not super aggressive, and you were just in and out of those so fast. And I know how that kind of feels. Like, you just get in the zone and you're not even thinking anymore. You're just riding, and it was noticeably faster than what everybody else was doing.
Yeah, and my focus was like being clean to those 2 ruts for sure, because there was, I felt, I'm like, you gotta kind of try to make up time in those dead spots,
Not the greatest Daytona track we've seen. I know RC's limited with some stuff he's got to do as far as the logos and sprinklers and the room. There's certainly been better Daytona tracks. I know he tried to bring it old school a little bit this year too. I wasn't a fan. I talked to a lot of riders that weren't a fan, but did you like it, Eli? I mean, obviously you rode amazing and you won, so maybe that skews it, but walking it, that you had to be like, oh boy, like starts are everything here.
Yeah, and well, I mean, I was, you know, I didn't really have, you know, any thought of, or you know, I didn't really know how it was going to play out just walking the track, but you know, I thought the lines would form, you know, in a way that would allow for more passing, but it still kind of funneled into the, you know, one or two lines. And yeah, for the most part, right, there wasn't a whole lot of passing going on without guys making the mistake and allowing the guy to get by. So there wasn't there wasn't parts where you could just battle it out, right, and then block past the guy and square him up and do things like that. So, yeah, I'm with you guys there. Like it wasn't the, you know, the best Daytona layout.
No, we've seen better, and we've seen epic rides from you either way. Hey, what about the whoops in the 250, the first two races? We were talking like, what the hell were they thinking there, Eli?
Yeah, you know what? I mean, for it to happen in both heats, though, I think that the whoops were. I think there was like some sticky dirt in there, and then the way maybe there were some edges from before, because there's no way everyone just goes in there and just grenades themselves. You know, I mean, it was kind of. It was bad. Yeah, that was bad. I'm just like, oh my gosh.
You watched them in practice, and they were so small, and then all of a sudden, it was just chaos. Mookie tweeted that, or Mookie on his Instagram was like, "Yeah, go ahead and fix those guys. We'll wait.
Yeah,
we'll wait while you fix those things." So I would be hot if I was a 250 guy, and I came out and I saw that.
I think that, who knows, they might have got rebuilt a little steep or something, because that was just too weird for everyone to be crashing that bad. Like that wasn't normal, you know. I don't know what it was.
702-586 Pulp. You got a question for the Daytona winner. Eli Tomac just wrapped it up for the fourth time. Give us a call.
Yeah, I think they definitely built him a little steep, and that's one of those things where I was curious, with a different track crew than normal, you don't really see that inconsistency at normal Supercross, right? They're very, very good about, if they make something different, like the whoops are going to be easier than they were in practice versus harder, because to catch those guys by surprise like that is so sketchy. You just see guys, they're expecting one thing, they get another, and then off they go. It's like they hit a landmine and guys are flying everywhere. So it's just one of those unique Daytona things that is unfortunate for those guys, but I was glad they fixed them before you guys went in there and had to deal with that too.
Yeah, absolutely. Eli, so we did the math. You got more points after the round 10 than you've ever had before. You got the red plate. So you got to be feeling good about your chances here to get your first 450 Supercross title as far as past performances.
Oh yeah, I mean, best position, right?
Yep.
Problem is I'm battling Ken Roxon, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just going to be like, who's the guy that's going to really flinch first? I feel like between us two. I mean, we're riding so close to the same.
Yep.
You know, and I can't let them get away, you know, like that again on the start, especially inside the tighter dome. So that's what I'm gonna have to do. I'm gonna have to be, you know, within the top five, and I can't let the guy run away at the start. And then I can, you know, I feel like I can definitely get it. But if that's not the case, then, you know, it's going to be tough. So
yeah,
it's you know, it's good to be in the position, but at the same time, it's like, you know, there's no looking at the end. Like, it's, you know, we're only 3 points separated from each other, so it kind of feels like round one still. Yeah,
it's going to be tight for sure. Your starts have been, last year they were good. In the past, your first lap stuff hasn't been great. This year, I feel like some starts have been money for you, Eli, and some haven't, right? Like it's inconsistent starts this year, good and bad.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
So,
I've been trying to fix them, but you can only do so much.
Yep.
Well, and you're not.
Yeah, it's just
Everybody you're starting around, they're also pretty decent too, right?
Right.
You're starting with a bunch of slow guys.
We got a phone call here from you for Jeff on one. Let's get to him. Eli Tomac on the phone. Everybody, brought to you by Roost MX. Jeff, what's your question for Eli Tomac?
Hey, guys, thanks for taking my call. It's just a quick technique question and another question on that strength, but I've noticed Eli puts his foot under the foot peg over jumps in the air, and I was just wondering what the purpose of that technique was.
For me, I've seen that in pictures, and I have no idea why I do it. I've never even thought about doing it, so it must be for some sort of bike feel or bike control. But no one's ever told me you need to put your foot under the peg when you do a seat bounce or a jump. So.
Yeah. Oh, interesting. Yeah.
I don't know.
It is. I was just curious. And then just another question. I've noticed that you seem to be much more physically strong than other competitors. Is that something that comes to you naturally, or do you train for that? It just seems like you can hang on to the bike when things get a little out of control, or you can really just manhandle it.
It's a combination. It's a combination of, being physically fit, and I think most of us are, and then you've got to be able to be comfortable while you're racing on your motorcycle. If you've got all those together, it's what makes it easier to maintain that pace of the distance. For sure.
All right, cool. Thanks for the call, man. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Tomac 2020, let's go.
Let's do this. Hey, Eli, so obviously the Barsha stuff's what everybody's talking about and what everybody likes, and they caught you guys post-race talking to each other. Now, look, I was a mechanic for a long time. I can't tell you how many times I heard two riders telling each other they're going to kill each other after the race. JT, you told everybody that after races when you were angry. So it's not, Eli, it's not the fact that you and him went back and forth and all of that, because that happens, again. So fans just got to look at it. But what I'm wondering about, were you a little, not I don't say pissed is the right word, but were you like, oh, thanks for posting that, guys? Like, thanks for grabbing that. Or did it bother you at all that they kind of posted that stuff?
But between me and Justin, I don't think it matters much.
Okay.
I don't know. I feel like, we left it there.
Yeah.
At that moment or that situation, and then the rest is just like the popcorn for everyone else.
Yeah.
But I think our mindset between me and Justin, I don't think that really changes it. We're both gonna really believe what we think. What or whatever.
Yeah.
And I think what really fired up Justin in the situation there was my handlebar tagged him, and it tagged his hand.
Yeah.
We bumped, but my handlebar got into him, and that's what pissed him off. He was like, I think it felt a lot like a more of a contact than what it really was. I did try to drive it in there, and I was pissed that I got past. Because when you're in the battle with guys, you're in the train of guys, and it's like you're trying to get forward, and then someone comes in on the inside of you. You're like, man, I don't want to be going backwards right now. So it was all kind of a rushed situation there, and that's what happens in the middle of the pack.
Yeah, I mean, my Instagram, my Twitter, people love that stuff, and I'm like, that's not that big of a deal. Two guys going at each other after a race, But Feld deciding to put it out there, I was like, oh, like shit, But yeah, I mean, big deal, right? So.
Yeah, I don't know. Who knows what it'll turn into? But me personally, I'm trying to keep it flamed down.
Yeah.
I don't know what it'll turn into.
I mean, honestly,
we'll see.
To me, I think it was just a peek into what mainstream sports get all the time. Could you imagine if you had something controversial going on the weekend? You're an NFL quarterback or whatever. Something happens, you fumble or do something stupid. Every TV show for the next 6 days, that's all they talk about on ESPN. Every show, all the time.
Yeah.
Like, that's the closest we probably ever had to it, is everybody was talking about this one incident. And it's just noise, right? Between Justin and Eli, I'd say, yeah, whatever. The next day, you're moving on to something else. You got to worry about Daytona the next day.
Yep.
But these other sports, I'm just like, man, that's as close as we've ever gotten to this moment where everybody's talking about this one incident.
Yep.
For a race, just like, yeah, so what?
Right.
I got to worry about practicing and my training and all this other crap. But for us idiots that are all watching, it's like, oh my God, it's all we talk about,
Yeah, I'm sure, Eli, that's everybody wants to talk to you about, right? I mean, media, the cameras, everybody's like, and we are too, right? So it's just like, you're like, okay, yeah, big deal.
I know, and then you'll get the guy that comes through the autograph line. He's like, "Watch your back, Marston's gonna get you." I'm just like, "Oh my gosh."
Watch. You're like, yeah, I think I'm good, dude. I think I'm good. Right, yeah.
What are you, on the grassy knoll?
Right, exactly, right, yeah. I mean, I love my favorite part was, have you ever passed anybody clean? And he goes, this year?
That was awesome.
I can't get enough of that. I can't. I love that part. Barshard wanted to clarify that because he hasn't really, right? And he knows that. He knows it, so. Hey, Garrett Marchbanks, man, your quasi teammate. What a race for him too. That's really good night for the Cowie guys. Garrett rode fantastic.
He did, and when I was at the test tracks in California this year, I'm like, this guy is for sure the most improved, 250, I've seen. So that was really cool for definitely excited for that guy. That was cool to see. Like preseason, that he was going really good, and then it resulted in a win.
Yeah,
that's cool.
Great wire-to-wire win. Hey, new teammate this year, Adam Cianciarulo. Obviously, he's out right now, but what's that been like for you to have somebody that is on your level with speed and has won some heat races and set some qualifying fast times? Has that helped you a little bit? Do you feel, or is it business as usual for you?
Oh, I mean, we're not in the truck together,
right.
So we don't really interact during race day. So it's like, I'm just kind of going along with business at the test track. It was like, man, he's going good, and it definitely pushed me early on.
Okay.
So I would say I was riding harder at the test track before A1 for sure. But then race day, it's just like, business as usual. But like getting like second place 5 weeks in a row by like 200th in practice, that started getting annoying.
Yeah, really, right? Oh, that's funny. No, it's been cool to watch for sure. So, hey, I talked to
but it's what's really nice is having another bike that's your same color, even though motocross is the same, or everyone's out for themselves. But it really does help having, I feel like, the same color bike, like up fighting for that podium position,
Don't have to go into Vegas fighting every orange and white bike on
the
track.
Yeah.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, not just fighting one color, but two colors, exactly, right?
Yeah.
I would agree with you. That's probably that's a nice change from years past for sure. I was talking to Theo a few weeks ago, and he was telling me Theo at Cowie, of course, you're happier with the new bike, and the team has worked a little bit better and found some things out about the new bike. So just like anything, the bike was brand new last year, and you feel a little bit more at home on it?
Yeah. I mean, the only time I felt off was Anaheim 1. And what I basically did was kind of go back to an older setting after Anaheim 1. It's like you always try to find something new and improved, right? And then you take it racing, and then half the time it turns into a disaster. But the good thing is now I feel like we're settled in pretty well, and the bike's has been good in most conditions.
Yeah. I always think about a new model, whether it's Honda or Cowie. Anybody comes up with a brand new model like they did, it takes a bit of time. I mean, definitely after they get some data on it and they learn about what the bike does, everything else, and so it's good that it's obviously working for you, no doubt.
So I have a question.
It is.
Yep.
I have a question on the bike related side. So are you in Colorado now? Like, do you go back to Colorado quite a bit during this part of the season?
Yeah. Yep.
So
Colorado.
Do you notice the bike, like going to sea level this weekend, like does the bike feel way, way different, like power delivery wise, after riding at elevation quite a bit, or how does that go?
It's bad when I come back from California.
Yep.
And then I start practicing here. I'm like, wow, it's a lot slower. But then I get used to it.
Mm-hmm.
It basically takes a week to get used to the Colorado again, and then I'm fine bouncing back and forth.
Right.
I will say it was worse on 250s.
Yeah.
Is where you really feel like you're down on power, and you go to sea level, and you're like, man, it feels like a whole different motorcycle. But thankfully, like on the 450, most of the time we can leave our gearing the same. So your wheel position's the same, and you don't really mess with the chassis that much. So
that's cool.
Chris is on one for you, Eli. Chris, what's going on? You got a question about Daytona for Eli Tomac?
Yeah, guys, thanks for taking my call. Eli, I had a question. When you were following Anderson and you guys were jumping into the rollers, I noticed that you were jumping into the third one, and Anderson was just setting sail and jumping into the fourth. Were you doing the third because you thought it was faster, or just didn't want to take the pounding of the fourth one?
Well, the heat race is what did it for me. I was doing the quad in, if you want to call it that.
Yep.
The big line, what Anderson was doing, but I actually blew up my rear wheel in that race. I'm actually lucky I even finished that heat race. I came across and half the spokes were blown. So I was just like, yep, I'm out on that one. Yeah.
Wow. Okay, cool.
Like it was a lot worse than what it felt. I came off the track and it was like wobbling. I'm like, holy moly! Like, it probably only had another lap in it, and it could have just changed the entire night.
Yeah, you think about
Definitely.
that, and you think about the gate pick, right? That you get, it changes everything.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And then if you start 12th, you're for sure screwed there.
And think about a factory wheel too, which are stronger than a stock wheel. You know, they're factory wheels, and they're still broken. So think about the landing. Think about that force that you're driving.
Yeah.
You know, like geez.
It was incredible watching the distance and the height that those guys were going, and I wouldn't want to do it.
Well, cool. Thanks, Chris. Thanks for calling.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thanks. David's on 2. David, what's your question for Eli Tomac, the Daytona winner?
Eli, how you doing tonight?
Hey there.
Hey, question. You posted a week or so ago about skiing up in the mountains. Do you think that high altitude training does a lot of good for you? I mean, versus say somebody like Roxon?
Well, there's always two beliefs about high elevation versus sea level. The high elevation you increase your cardio capacity and your blood cells, so you carry more oxygen in your blood. So there's the plus, right, to high elevation training. But then at sea level, you can push your muscles harder. So there's benefits to both. I feel like maybe it does benefit me because I can run at a lower heart rate when I'm at sea level, so I don't go anaerobic as fast. But but for your muscles, they say you can't push them as hard, right, to the max if you're always training up high. So those are the two thoughts on that.
Cool. Thanks. Thanks, David. Appreciate it, man. Thank you.
You bet.
All right, another question for Eli from Derek. We'll let you go shortly here, Eli. Hey, Derek, what's your question for Eli Tomac?
How's it going, man? Eli, big fan. Just wanted to ask you, what separated this season from seasons in the past? Like you've really been on it this year. You seem like a whole new guy. I just wanted to ask that.
Hold on, a whole new guy. He's won 800 races in the last few years, Derek. I mean, I'm just
best in the world. I got to give it to him.
Yeah, I'm just saying, a whole new guy. I don't know, Eli.
I feel like on race day this year though, I'm different. Like mentally, I feel more at ease. I don't know what it is, whether it's just age or the experience. I feel like just more level-headed, throughout the day. Like I can manage my emotions better. I feel like that's been the difference.
Yeah, that is something. Yeah, absolutely. So,
yeah.
Thanks, Derek.
I mean, we're not to the end. We're not to the end yet, but up to this halfway point, heck yeah, I've been better for sure on race day.
Yeah, that's such a huge part of it, right?
Well, I think knowing, winning that many races and knowing that, hey, if everything goes okay, I'm going to be there for a win. That's probably calming. I never felt that, but that's probably calming.
Yeah, really, right? Absolutely. Eli, J-Mar's still around down there?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yep, Jeremy's still here. Yep.
How's that been going?
They were in Florida last week, but it's been good. It's always nice to have him here. Like when he's gone during last week, I'm like, you realize how boring it can be when you're by yourself.
You miss the little guy. You're like, I just want him around here. How much of does he ride a 250 there or 450? I know he rode a 450 when he was there, but
he's been on his 250.
Okay.
Lately, yeah. Yeah, especially for Supercross.
So if he's on it, can he give you obviously he starts first. How does that go? It takes you a little bit. I
don't want to put him under the bus.
Okay.
Supercross, I can get him.
Yeah.
On the Supercross track for sure.
Okay.
But when he was on his 450, we were. It's a good battle, yeah.
Right, yeah. Osborne, when he was on 250, was like he had to go dungeon Marvin, and he's just like, screw my life.
Chance.
Yeah, he's just like, I got to start first, and these guys just eat me up, right? So
yeah, that's kind of the way it is.
Right. Tyler, you got a question about sand sections and for Eli Tomac?
Hey, Eli. You're known as a good sand rider. A lot of riders have been complaining about the sand sections on the press conferences. Do you enjoy seeing sand out on the track?
Well, if it's not Atlanta, I don't mind it. Because a lot of times it's guys. I mean, it's a place where you can, get a guy if they make a mistake. There's time to be made. But when there's a wall in the sand or whatever, the sand's right after the wall and it blasts you in the face.
Yeah,
they can get rid of those.
I think you and every other rider. I think, man, it was brutal. Yeah. So, but the sand section in Tampa, That was kind of cool. I mean, I didn't like the split lane aspect of it. I wish they would have went back to how Tampa
Yeah.
was before. But at least there was a lot of mistakes made by riders, so you can make up time.
I mean, yeah, there's you can make up time, you can make mistakes. You know, I don't know. Some people probably hate them, but some people don't mind them.
Right.
Go back and forth on that. Yeah.
Cool, Tyler. Thanks for the call, man.
All right, thanks. Good luck, Tomac.
Thanks.
Eli Tomac on the PulpMX Show, presented by Fly and Motorsport.com. Also brought to you by RoostMX.net. Well, Eli, thanks for coming on, man. It's been a while since you've been on, so we appreciate it. You know,
Thanks, sir. Yeah, thanks for bringing me on.
Our listeners always love hearing from you, and great work in Daytona, and congrats on the red plate. And yeah, man, we'll see you this weekend in Indy. Thanks for the time.
Oh, okay, see you guys.
All right, thank you. Eli Tomac, everybody, brought to you by RoostMX.net. Thanks to Cowie PR.
Yeah, it's cool. I can't wait to go back to Europe this summer and just tell everybody, "Oh, Eli's so good." They all get riled up immediately, right?
Wow. So some people in America gets all riled up about that.
Yeah. I love to just stir it up, like just talk about how fast